Welcome everybody to this DIS Technology and Practice session. What I want to cover today is how CrateDB can help your organization to get from NoSQL to real-time insights, right? So basically what we're looking to do here is unlocking MongoDB data with CrateDB CDC. So what is the actual challenge, right? So MongoDB is a great flexible database, but it definitely has some analytical limitations. For example, the transactional focus within Mongo is there, right? So MongoDB excels at handling that transactional workloads, but it isn't really optimized for large-scale analytics, and that has predominantly to do with the lack of automatic indexing, right? So within Mongo, Mongo, like I said, it's greatly flexible. So if you look at how MongoDB basically accepts all the different data types. For example, if you have an array within Mongo, you can even create an array with multiple data types within it, right? So if you have a string and you have a numeric value or a Boolean, you can have that within the same array. And the reason for that is that it's not indexed, because you can imagine if you want to put some indexing on top of that, and you want to have that indexing actually be fast and helpful, you need to have the same data types. So that's one of the challenges. And of course, if you think about performance bottlenecks, so running complex queries on MongoDB can be slow and sometimes very resource intensive. And also, if you think about the analytical limitations, MongoDB isn't great when it comes to SQL, right? So it has limited SQL support. And of course, the need for manual indexing is hindering that efficient data analysis. So that's the challenge. So why would people care about real-time analytics, right? So why is there a need for real-time insights? Well, I think everybody knows nowadays, right? It's pretty important to be able to timely do decision making, right? So organizations require that up-to-date data to make informed decisions instead of educated guesses. And of course, with that, you get the ETL challenges. So traditional ETL processes introduce delays because most of the time it's like an ETL pipeline, it adds complexity, which makes real-time insights difficult to achieve. And if you think about the opportunity there, so seamlessly integrating operational data with an analytical platform can actually unlock that immediate insight. So that's the goal. So introducing MongoDB CDC integration in the CrateDB cloud. So CrateDB is a distributed multi-model SQL database. We have a couple of flavors. We run in self-deployed versions, right? So you can run it within your own environment, or you can choose to run it within the CrateDB cloud, which is fully managed. We will take care of all the nitty-gritty stuff about integration, creation, monitoring, backups, patching, that kind of stuff. So if you look at the image there, so on the left you have the MongoDB cluster. So you have a replica set, which of course enables a CDC stream. So the blue box basically is the CrateDB cloud, where you can create that integration to securely connect to the MongoDB cluster, and using automatic type inference, ingest the data within CrateDB. And of course, on the right-hand side, you can have your real-time analytics. For example, if you want to visualize stuff with Grafana, or if you want to run, I don't know, Power BI or something else to run your analytics on top of the data you get in CrateDB. That's how that sort of like stream works. A couple of things there. So of course, initial sync. So if you set up, and I will show you later in the demo, if you set it up, then there will be an initial sync where CrateDB will check if the table where you have your endpoint where you want to stream your data in is actually available within CrateDB. If not, it will create it, and then stream can start, where you do the initial load, but also you can, of course, do the continuous synchronization, which is the added value if you think about real-time analytics. So we will there use that MongoDB CDC streams to get the data within CrateDB. And of course, data consistency is important. So we will employ the MongoDB full document model, right? So all the changes, we will update the full document, get that into CrateDB so you can run your real-time analytics on top of that. Some advantages here for CrateDB over MongoDB is CrateDB will index everything out of the box. So all the fields within streaming in from MongoDB, we will take care of the automatic indexing, which of course eliminates the need for manual indexing. CrateDB, like I said, it's a distributed SQL database. So the power of SQL, right? SQL is the most well-known query language out there. So if you want to run complex SQL queries, that's easily done on CrateDB, right? So you can run the SQL queries, including joins, aggregations, do that all directly on the JSON data. The scalability, like I said, we are a distributed SQL database. So CrateDB is designed for high throughput workloads. So if there's a need for more firepower, you can easily scale out because CrateDB has a shared nothing architecture, shards everything out of the box, distributes all the shards across the different nodes. So that basically means that you can efficiently handle these large-scale data ingestion, but also the analytics on top of that. And also, coming back to the multi-model capabilities of CrateDB, CrateDB can not only support JSON, but we can store full text. We can do store your vectors, right? So if you have embeddings, we can store your geospatial data. You can create a combination of these things to run like hybrid searches within your database. That all adds to the richness of your data, which of course helps with deeper insights for your data. So what are we going to look at from a demo perspective? We have a MongoDB Atlas environment. We will have CrateDB. We will set up the stream between A and B. I will show you how that works, how to set it up, show you that we can directly start querying the data. And also, because CrateDB has the PostgreSQL compatible protocol, it's easy to connect up your tools, for example, the visualization tool, Grafana, to actually show and visualize those queries, the data, real-time analytics in basically in a dashboard. So that's what we're gonna look at, and I will walk you through. So let's move into the live demo. So for the demo, we're gonna use a MongoDB Atlas cluster, and we're gonna use a CrateDB Cloud cluster. And of course, later on, I'm gonna also show you how to easily visualize things with Grafana. But first, we need to come up, of course, we need to have an application. So what we have is an application called Hotel Jobs. Basically, what it does is, well, you can imagine in a hotel, you have a lot of guests requesting things like additional towels. Maybe they have room service, they have other stuff they are requesting. And of course, you have a lot of staff that's actually executing, working there, solving or making sure that the customers are happy. So a couple of things we need there. For example, we need to have a Mongo URI, which is basically the connection string towards your cluster. We have the MongoDB database, MongoDB collections, and we have two actual scripts that are mimicking the application. So we have the creator. So this will ingest rows, different jobs with different job types into Mongo. And of course, further down the line, we're gonna get the data out with using CrateDB, reading the CDC uplog into CrateDB, and making it easy to actually run real-time analytics on top of that. And then we have the job completer script, which mimics staff members executing jobs, picking up different jobs that are open, solving them, marking them as completed. Well, that's the process we have there. So first things first, let's start that job. So let's kick off the job creator, and we kick off the job completer. So this is, well, nicely running, coming along. So if we go back to our Atlas environment, so we have our cluster there, and in order to be able to get your CDC, you need to have what Mongo calls a replica set, right? Consisting of a primary and two secondaries. So if we look at collections, we have a database called hotel, and we have something called jobs. So we can see we have different jobs here. Some are finished, some are not finished. So this is in a nutshell what we get from a data perspective. So for example, if we want to filter in Mongo and we say, hey, give me just only the documents that are not picked up yet, right? So where completed by doesn't exist. And you can see we have different types of requests, different rooms, different jobs. And of course, if you look at, give me the true version of this, right? So the completed ones, we can see that we have, for example, for room 248, they requested extra towels. That was completed by staff ID in 95. So what we'll also do in CrateDB is show you by using joins, how you can join actual names to IDs and that kind of stuff. So of course, this is all good and nice, but this is sort of like the starting position. Now we need to go to CrateDB Cloud. You can see this is just a sandbox of mine. It's a single node cluster, 2 CPUs, 2 GB RAM, and 8 GB of storage. So very lean and mean. So if we want to create and import stuff, we need to go to import, right? So we have a couple of different options there. We're going to create an integration. So we have Mongo, which is active. The other two, right? So Amazon S3 will be coming soon. We have DynamoDB coming soon. So let's have a look. If we create, if we would to create a new connection, right? So we need to have an authentication method, right? So we have Scram or X509, and we have connection name, which is a logical name, your connect string, username, password, database name, and of course this is pretty important, right? So because CrateDB Cloud, right, runs in our cloud. So you need to make sure that our cloud has access to your MongoDB Atlas project. Otherwise, it's kind of difficult to actually get data from A to B. So you can see the CIDR blocks here, which you need to grant access to in Mongo. So for example, if you go here, I already did that, of course, but right, so we have a username. We need to have a username, in this case, CrateDB, with a pretty verbose description. Of course, you need to have a rule attached to it that has enough rights to actually read the CDC or the oblog within your replica set. And then the network access part. So you can see, right? So these are the CIDR blocks that we saw here in the cloud. I added those in order to make sure that we have access to the Atlas environment. So that's how you do that. I will, of course, again, I already created one. So this is the DIS 2025. So you go next. The MongoDB database name is not hotel applications, it's hotel. The MongoDB collection name is jobs. So we select next. This is the endpoint, right? So what's the schema name and the table name we want to actually get this data in CrateDB. In this case, I'm going to do same, right? So hotel dot jobs. And this is the type mapping. If you want to store JSON documents within CrateDB, you need to go for the data type object. And CrateDB has a couple of options there. Dynamic is a standard, meaning that everything you chuck in, CrateDB will index out of the box. The other option is ignored. That will give you a Mongo-like environment where CrateDB doesn't index. In this particular case, we want to showcase the added value of CrateDB on top of MongoDB because we index everything out of the box. So of course we go for dynamic. The other option is strict, by the way. So if you want to specify the specific fields, that's not an option here, but that's an option if you create your tables as structures within the CrateDB. So we go for dynamic, select next, give it a name. Let's call it DIS, CDC DIS 2025. And this is the mode we need to select. So we go for full load and CDC. But of course, if you only want to do a full load or CDC only, of course, you also have that option. So let's create the integration. It will, of course, do a couple of prereq checks. For example, is the destination table, is that already available on CrateDB side or not, right? So these kind of things. So for example, if you go here and we do a refresh, we would see here hotel, we have a table named staff. I already created that, right? That's for us later down the road where we want to join things. So if we say, hey, copy my select statements. So let's fire that up. So we can see we have just an ID. We have also within the object, right? So this is your typical JSON document, right? So this is really what's coming. You can see that the ID here is the same as that one. That's just to make sure that we are sharding based on the ID. So we created also an ID field there. And probably further down the line, we will see also maybe some jobs that are already finished. Yes, here we have one, for example, right? So the other ones, they have ID, job, requested at a room. And here, the finished one, they also have completed that ID job, requested that, completed by, right? So this is the staff ID number, which we can join with the IDs and the names in the staff table. So that's what we have from a CrateDB perspective. So let me quickly go back to my streaming and see if we have some information there. So we already processed 230 rows. So let's have a look. If we go to the console and if we, for example, if we want to query the amount of outstanding jobs, right? So how many jobs are not being picked up yet? But this is, but also how many jobs are already finished. So we can see, for example, taxi, finished job 40, outstanding jobs 41. So, right, so these are the numbers we currently have. And of course, it's real time. So this will be updated as it's updated within the environment. And you can see this is you add the typical field, right? So this is the field name. So this is the document completed. That's the field name. We're using that directly here within CrateDB. And of course, you can also run, for example, if you want to know what's the average time to complete a certain job, right? We can see here that the average job time is 2 minutes and 15 seconds, which is quite fast, I would say. But of course, it's a mix of things like taxis, maybe additional pillows, other smaller tasks, but also larger tasks like cleaning the room and that kind of stuff. So this is the average time to complete a job. And you could also run, of course, for example, if you want to know what's the average time to complete a job, and what is the amount of total jobs to complete a job, and what's the percentage? We can see that we had 48% of having the total amount of jobs finished. So we're not done yet, and you can see that's actually changing here as well, right? I'm not sure. Still 148 rows updated, 168. sorry, 86 or 187. So we can see that the actual amount is actually changing, right? So this is the real-time aspect of things, of course. And maybe not popular with staff, but let's assume you want to know which staff member executed most jobs the last hour. You could run a query like this, right? Where you do a join, right? So here we are joining staff, right? Because staff actually consists of name, and we are matching that with the hotel jobs on ID and on the document completed by, and that way we can match it, right? So the completed by was that ID, so we match that here on the ID and the hotel staff to actually report on that. And here we filter it where we say, okay, finished within the last hour, right? So let's see if you select that then. So let's see if actually things are changing for these top users. Not sure, doesn't look like it. So what we have here, so completed jobs, right? So this is in Grafana, right? Like I said, it's pretty easy to actually get this set up. So we have 224 jobs, 226 jobs outstanding, completed jobs is 270. So you can see that things are changing here. Of course, if you think about the total number of outstanding jobs, that will of course not be changing too much, or the top performers over time, right? But you can see that this is real-time data streaming in. So in a nutshell, I hope that I showed you how easy it is, right? How easy it is. You can use SQL queries with joins and that kind of stuff to run your analytical queries on top of data streaming in from your Mongo environment. And then, of course, because we have the PostgreSQL compatible protocol, easy to hook up your system to this to give you an overview of all the different jobs. And of course, this is easy, and this is all SQL, right? So it's easy to change, right? So if you want to add, if you want to change things, you can easily do that and showcase that here. So you can see that things are actually moving. So yeah, that's the added value, of course, of having a system like CrateDB where everything is indexed out of the box. So as soon as the data streams in from Mongo, we directly index it, and you can directly start querying it and using that to run your analytics on top of it. So that was the demo side of things. So let me move to some final remarks. So that was the demo. And then I just wanted to quickly do a recap, focus on the key takeaways of the session today. So CrateDB using MongoDB CDC integration enables seamless real-time analytics without impacting operational performance. It eliminates the need for complex ETL processing because we're streaming data from MongoDB directly into CrateDB, index everything out of the box. We will providing an always fresh data for analysis. But of course, with the power of SQL, we're empowering organizations to run advanced SQL queries on top of Mongo data, unlocking deeper insights. So thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one. Bye-bye.